Hello again, my friend. Welcome to the fourth hour. Really nice to have you along this morning. There are a few things going on. The Doge subcommittee is holding their first hearing today, and you're seeing that live at foxnews.com, a number of other places. And their headline is Sparks Expected to Fly as Doge subcommittee holds their first hearing. That likely will be big news tomorrow. So that's happening as we speak. I'm interested in the this is Donald Trump and Elon Musk. They were speaking from the Oval Office last night. Now, this is about 30 minutes long. Obviously, I'm not going to share all of this, but it is interesting. And some of this we talked about this morning on the show. And I appreciate your reaction. It's pretty incredible as you watch this proceed. So this is the beginning. Again, we won't share all of it. I think what I'll do is skim through parts of this. I have not seen it. I've seen media reports of it, but the little bit I've seen is pretty engaging. So this is Donald Trump and Elon Musk Musk's young son, really stealing the show at times, and you'll see that early in the video, as they were talking at the Oval Office last night.
And we're going to be signing a very important deal today. It's Doge, and I'm going to ask Elon to...
By the way, the Associated Press was not allowed. They were not allowed to be a part of this, and I'll explain more on that. Details on that also coming up.
Tell you a little bit about it and some of the things that we found, which are shocking. Billions and billions of dollars in waste, fraud, and abuse. And I think it's very important. And that's one of the reasons I got elected. I said, we're going to do that. Nobody had any idea it was that bad, that sick, and that corrupt. And it seems hard to believe that judges want to try and stop us from looking for corruption, especially when we found hundreds of millions of dollars worth, much more than that, in just a short period of time. And we want to weed out the corruption. And it seems hard to believe that a judge could say, we don't want you to do that.
Unless the judges are also corrupt, right?
Look at the judges, because that's a very serious, I think it's a very serious violation. I'll ask Elon Musk to say a few words, and we'll take some questions. Elon, go ahead.
Sure. So at a high level, you say, what is the goal of Doge, and I think a significant part of this presidency is to restore democracy. This may seem like, well, aren't we in a democracy? Well, if you don't have a feedback loop, okay, we'd have to, if you sorry. So, tell you, gravitas can be difficult sometimes. If there's not a good feedback loop from the people to the government, and if you have rule of the bureaucrat, if the bureaucracy is in charge, and then what meaning does democracy actually have? If the people cannot vote and have their will be decided by their elected representatives in the form of the president and the Senate and the House, then we don't live in a democracy. We live in a bureaucracy. So it's incredibly important that we close that feedback loop, we fix that feedback loop, and that the public's elected representatives, the president, the House, and the Senate, decide what happens, as opposed to a large unelected bureaucracy.
Yeah, amen.
This is not to say that there are good people who are in the federal bureaucracy, but you can't have an autonomous federal bureaucracy. You have to have one that's responsive to the people. That's the whole point of a democracy.
Exactly right.
And if
do you disagree with him about any of this?
And said, what do you think of the way things have turned out? Well, we have this unelected, fourth unconstitutional branch of government, which is the bureaucracy, which has, in a lot of ways, currently more power than any elected representative. And this is not something that people want, and it's not. It does not match the will of the people. So it's just something we've got to fix. And then we've also got to address the deficit. So we've got a $2 trillion deficit, and if we don't do something about this deficit, the country's going bankrupt. I mean, it's really astounding that
you can't avoid it.
the interest payments alone on the national debt exceed the Defense Department budget, which is shocking because we spend a lot of money on defense. But and if that just keeps going, we're essentially going to bankrupt the country. So what I really want to say is, like, it's not optional for us to reduce the federal expenses. It's essential. It's essential for America to remain solvent as a country, and it's essential for America to have the resources necessary to provide things to its citizens and not simply be servicing vast amounts of debt.
And also, could you mention some of the things that your team has found, some of the crazy numbers?
This is pretty
including the woman that
fascinating to me.
walked away with about 30 million,
Right.
etc.
Well, we do find it sort of rather odd that there are quite a few people in the bureaucracy who have ostensibly a salary of a few $100,000, but somehow manage to accrue tens of millions of dollars in net worth while they are in that position, which is, what happened to USAID. We're just curious as to where it came from. Maybe they're very good at investing. They take good investment advice, perhaps. But just there seems to be
Trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, but it stinks,
Where does it come
right?
from? And I think the reality is that they're getting wealthy at the taxpayer expense. That's the honest truth of it. So, we're looking at, if you look at, say, Treasury, for example, basic controls that should be in place, that are in place in any company, such as making sure that
He knows
has a payment categorization code, that there is a comment field that describes the payment, and that if a payment is on the do not pay list, that you don't actually pay it. None of those things are true currently. So the reason that departments can't pass audits is because the payments don't have a categorization code. It's like just a massive number of blank checks just flying out the building. So you can't reconcile blank checks. You've got comment fields that are also blank, so you don't know why the payment was made.
this is just, I got to stop there because this just like blows my mind. You listen to this and this is what's going on at Treasury. And again, they were blocked by, judges and Democrats who were saying, oh, you can't go into Treasury. You can't do this. And this is like Elon Musk. This guy and the number of companies that he has run, and been a part of, he absolutely knows, looking at these books, that we've got some things that absolutely stink going on right now in the federal bureaucracy. It's just absolutely shocking as you watch this stuff.
And then we've got this truly absurd, a do not pay list, which can take up to a year for an organization to get on a do not pay list. And this, we're talking about terrorist organizations, we're talking about known fraudsters, known aspects of waste, known things that do not match any congressional appropriation, can take up to a year to get on the list. And even once on the list is not used. It's mind-blowing. So what we're talking about here, we're really just talking about adding common sense.
Is this corruption worse than you even thought or imagined?
That haven't been present. So you say, like, well, how could such a thing arise? That seems crazy. When you understand that really everything is geared towards complaint minimization, so then you understand the motivations. So if people receive money, they don't complain, obviously. But if people don't receive money, they do complain. And the fraudsters complain the loudest and the fastest. So.
Well, and that's what we're seeing. I'm going to end that there because this goes on. It's like 30 minutes long. And so we have been, I've shared a couple of minutes of it, but it's absolutely incredible. You can find the whole thing at YouTube. If you want to watch this, find the whole thing at YouTube because it's absolutely fascinating. So I wanted to share that piece with you this morning. Also, there were a couple of emails that I wanted to share as we were talking about pennies on the air this morning, because they got some great emails also. And I'm having a difficult time getting phone calls. I'm not having a difficult time getting emails. Emails are always coming in, but I really have, and there's no magic way to get people on the phone. There just isn't. Talk radio, it's not just me. These are shows throughout talk radio. national shows with a lot more listeners than me who are complaining about the difficulty of getting calls. And I don't know what's happened. But emails are always popping. And so I'm grateful for that. Facebook is always popping. So I appreciate your reaction. Sean sent me an email. He said it's ridiculous that it costs 3 cents to make a penny. However, getting rid of the penny is another step toward weaning people off physical currency. Globalist radicals want to transition everyone to digital currency so accounts can be controlled with a keystroke. He said, I want to know I have physical currency with a given value that I can spend without government oversight or threat of interference of what I buy or support with my money, which is a great point because you see China doing exactly that. They know how people are spending their money and reacting. Darla sent me an email in regard to the penny conversation. She said, I don't agree with removing it from our currency because we, the consumer, will pay more. Everyone will round up. She said the biggest concern, same as Sean, she says, moving to a cashless society, our privacy and security will forever be lost. And the processing fees on using cards is huge. The associations, credit card companies, again, a lot of us, though, are using, there's a difference between credit cards and debit cards. There is a difference between credit cards and debit cards. I use a debit card. I do not use a credit card. I just don't. And when I use a credit card, I use it very strategically, and then I immediately pay off the balance that month. When the statement is released, I pay off the balance. But she's making a valid point here about credit card companies and so on. So, Darla, thank you so much for the email. That really, a lot of folks that were reacting to that this morning via email. Did get a few phone calls, folks, wishing to weigh in on it. Okay, there's one other story that I have absolutely got to share with you this morning. This is from Straight Arrow News. I want to show you the headline first. The Associated Press says the White House blocked a reporter over their Gulf of America policy. This is the Associated Press. So Trump, as I mentioned, with Elon Musk, and I showed you a portion of it a moment ago. Well, a reporter from the Associated Press was not allowed to attend because what the Associated Press is saying, okay, well, the White House says it's the Gulf of America, but we at the AP, we conform to worldwide standards, and therefore we will continue to call it the Gulf of Mexico. And so Donald Trump says, okay, you're not allowed. You're not, you're not allowed into the news conference because the press was all there. And the AP was told, no, you can't have access. So this reporter, the AP is, they're all hurt, over this. And it's pretty crazy. So the White House communications director responded to it saying on X, he posted a GIF of a tiny violin with a caption saying, poor thing. This is hilarious. He said, limiting our access to the Oval Office based on the content of AP's speech not only severely impedes the public's access to independent news, it plainly violates the First Amendment. Oh, please. The Associated Press, give me a break. There were other reporters there. There were other reporters who were allowed in. The Associated Press wasn't allowed in. So let's get a different perspective. Let's go to Matt Vespa over at Town Hall. I love Matt Vespa and his writing why the Associated Press was blocked from Trump's meeting And it's, as I just explained to you, and you got them, our White House reporter was denied access to the Oval Office because of AP policy on this. And there's a problem with the Associated Press trying to play to a global audience, not an AP has had a lot of trouble. It's why the Associated Press throughout the United States has consolidated, and where you used to have one or two people or a bureau that would function, for instance, like in South Dakota, there's no AP bureau. It's just absolutely incredible what you've seen. And so they're out there whining, and Matt Vespa says, cry more. Keep treating these guys like garbage. I don't know that I would say that. That maybe is a little bit too far. But he's like me. Yeah. Come on, AP, give us a break. Donald Trump said, this is it. You don't want to do it. You don't want to comply. Fine. You don't have to. Nobody's forcing you, but neither then do you have a right to be in the Oval Office. Yeah. Makes sense to me. Also, Doge and the activities of Doge. I know I've been obsessed with this, but how are you not? How are you not just transfixed by everything that they're finding and what's happening, and judges who are trying to block them? It's just shocking. And you got Elon Musk standing there and talking about what's going on, with some of these payments, and shocking to him. It's just pretty incredible. So Trump said he would follow the rulings, but he will appeal. So what I shared with you this morning. So Donald Trump says, we're going to follow the rulings by these judges, but we are going to appeal. We'll appeal this to a higher court. And Vespa says we can nix the constitutional crisis nonsense it's been spewing from the colleagues of the AP. I still think Trump should ignore these anti-Doge rulings. They're not legal opinions. It's lefty judges whining that Trump is doing what he promised to do. Yeah, they're not legal opinions. And there are conversations, Matt Vespa is broaching this, there are conversations then that are taking place as to whether or not Donald Trump actually ought to follow these. Again, they're not legal opinions. So should he, and now Trump has said he will appeal, he'll fight the battle in the courts. And again, I think that what I believe is happening is they're trying to run out the clock. Donald Trump is president for 4 years, and he has taken off at absolute warp speed. At the beginning, you want to talk about warp speed and the Operation Warp Speed. I think we're seeing that right now. His second term, Operation Warp Speed, because he's moving on all of this stuff. And they are desperately trying to slow him down and get a handle on it. So it's pretty crazy as you take a look at it. I've got to tell you, I'm fascinated by this story. And if you're not, you'll have to email me and explain. But if it's not, because I just find it gripping. So if you don't find it that way, I would appreciate your emails and your thoughts. You can drop me a line anytime, greg.belfrage@kelo.com. I absolutely love hearing from you, but it's pretty amazing what we have been seeing. And again, Matt Vespa over a town hall telling Trump, just don't listen to this. Don't listen to these judges. That's what Andrew Jackson did when he was president. He got some court rulings he didn't like. He just ignored them. In fact, I think he told was it the Chief Justice of the United States? He told, okay, good luck trying to enforce it. Basically, he told the we're just going to continue to do what we're going to do. I don't know that I advocate going that far, but it's been pretty fascinating to watch that whole thing unfold. We're going to leave it there for today. If you made it to the end of the video, number of you did. You are a part of my gallery of champions. Thank you so much for being here. If you'll hit the like button before you leave, I'll appreciate you even more. So we'll leave it there today. You take care. See you again tomorrow. So long until then, my friends.